Big buzz going on in Colorado, literally and figuratively, as yesterday was the first day that people could line up, and in line up they did, to buy marijuana for recreational use. Joining us to talk about it, addiction expert Robb Kelly. Robb Kelly, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you this fine morning?
I'm doing great. So what do you think when you saw those big lines yesterday?
Colorado, what are we doing, Colorado? Come on, this is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. It's opening the floodgates, Tony. It's as simple as that.
Well, let me ask you regarding that. Nothing's really seems to stop the use of illicit drugs throughout this country. The drug laws pretty much haven't worked thus far. So do we need to look more at, I don't know, the genome that creates addiction for people, that's a part of the addiction gene, if you will?
Well, you know, there's a difference between addiction and using and drinking heavily. So, I mean, that's one aspect. And the other aspect, of course, is just by legalizing, we're going to have a lot of problems following that with the DUIs and the DWIs. And so I just think it's going to cause so many problems. I mean, we've done our own research at Robb Kelly Recovery Group, and we've found that most of our hardcore addicts started with the first drug, with marijuana. I mean, it speaks for itself. It really does.
Some say that rather than it being a gateway drug, that it's just the first of an easier way for, say, for example, a 14-year-old to get involved in using something illegally or not. Some kids, for example, may drink down their dad's beer or what have you, or go to the alcohol cabinet or something of that nature. Do you concur with that, or do you really see a connection? Because I've heard opposing views to that as well, as far as marijuana being a gateway drug, or are all drugs a gateway drug?
Yeah, what we should do, first of all, we should have learned of the prohibition in the early days. We should have learned that the alcohol, once it was legalized away, how much problems it's caused. And I think marijuana is going to go the same way. I'm surprised we haven't learned from it. I think that teens are going to get hold of it illegally. I think they're going to use it just like they use alcohol illegally. There's nothing we can do about that. But what Colorado's saying is if you're over the age of 21, it's okay to use what's known now as a banned drug. I mean, it's an offense. Somebody needs to take a stand and say, you know, this is wrong. And as long as we do that, you know, if you continue and want to use it, then you have to pay the price.
Yeah, but it strikes me yesterday that all those people in line, this isn't the first time that they've bought, a couple of ounces or an ounce of marijuana to put in the brownie, so to speak. I mean, don't you think most of those people were already involved in the usage of marijuana?
Yeah, one would imagine that. I'd say 95% of them are already using marijuana, and there's nothing we can do about that. But once again, you know, they're breaking the law, and once you get caught, there's a price to pay. And of course, Colorado's saying we don't have to do that anymore. And what's stopping me, Tony, from going to my local store, buying an ounce of legal marijuana, sticking it home in my nice little jar with my sticker on the jar saying what store I bought it from, then going to my local dealer for the rest of the year and storing it? How the police are going to distinguish from one to the other? I'm baffled by it.
Well, that's for sure. It's going to be a little tough to do that. Let me ask you, regarding the marijuana that's being sold, is there a certain, what they call THC level, that is or is not permissible in that kind of marijuana? Or is there anything that is addictive about THC, so to speak?
Early research has shown that THC is addictive. So, yes, I mean, you know, most of our hardcore drug users started on marijuana. I mean, surely they'd still be on marijuana now if it wasn't addictive. They'd still be using it.
What does THC do to the body?
It does various things. It's a hallucinating drug. It highs the temperature, the blood pressure higher, you know, which causes that high, which obviously causes that addiction feeling. And people get hooked on it, just like they get hooked on every other drug that's out there. There's no doubt about it that marijuana is an addictive drug, period.
Is everything addictive that causes the mind to alter, so to speak, that gives people whatever buzz they may or may not be looking for? Could anybody become an addict, or is there really a gene for it?
Yeah, well, latest research show that there's a gene for it, and it's passed down, it's hereditary. I mean, I know I've been in recovery for 30 years, and my father was an alcoholic, and his father was an alcoholic, and so on and so forth. But there's nothing stopping. I mean, you can't turn an alcoholic or addict, a non-alcoholic or addict, into an alcoholic or addict. They reckon that's impossible to do because the gene's involved. However, there is heavy use that continues to happen, which obviously shows the signs of being an addict, because you're using every day. Work suffers, family life suffers, and you slowly but surely just give up on life.
What specifically do you find all addicts have in common, be it alcohol, drugs, or food even?
Have in common as in?
Well, I mean, what are the common signs? How does one know, or how does one know for oneself or one's family member or friend if that person is an addict?
Oh, yeah, there's certain things to look for. We always tell them, look for isolation. That's the first thing. Look for any miss or loss of work or school, especially school with teenagers, any change of behavior. But isolation's a big one. I know when I was drinking, it was great just to get on my own and drink because there's nobody around. So isolation being the first one you should look for.
Robb Kelly, addiction expert. Is there a website people can find out more information about this?
Yes, sir. It's robbkelly.com with 2 B's, robbkelly.com.
Robb, R-O-B-B, Kelly.com. Thanks, Robb. Appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you, sir. Good to speak to you.
All right. Good to talk to you. Congratulations on your recoveries. 744-84 WHAS.